I got my first degree in environmental science in Oregon in the States, and soon after that I moved to Australia. That degree was not very useful to me when I got here. It didn't lead to jobs really. So I just worked doing a whole bunch of random stuff for a while, and I thought I'm gonna have to do some more study. What should I do? So I studied at Melbourne Uni, but I did the clinical years of medical school at Ballarat Base Hospital, and then went on to do my internship and residency at Ballarat Base Hospital as well. You've got to work in more than one GP's practice. So I worked here, and then I spent a year working part-time at the Aboriginal Co-op in Bendigo. The best aspect is definitely the ability to achieve a good work-life balance. I don't think I could achieve this work-life balance maybe anywhere else on the planet, actually. Our clinics transitioned over to being an Ochre clinic in early 2020, so right at the start of COVID. We did have a lot of Zoom meetings and a lot of discussion about how things would go, and we were also asked for our feedback and what we wanted. I remember a Zoom meeting in particular where it was just the doctors and a couple people from Ochre, and just saying, you know, do you have any concerns about what's going to happen with the transition? And so I felt pretty confident, and then in fact in practice it all went as expected. I feel completely independent, and we really had a good, pretty smooth sailing ship beforehand, so that's just continued. Ochre was always really responsive, and there was a way that Ochre did things which wasn't going to work with our pre-existing system here, and so we just chatted to them about it and, you know, came up with a good workable solution. Nobody seems to be pushing any agendas. Ochre is a fantastic company. It doesn't feel like a corporate, it feels like a company, like a small company. It's focused in the regional areas. People are on the end of the email or the phone, as opposed to some of the other bigger corporates. I've done extra training in skin cancer medicine and surgery, and so when I'm working in general practice, I do about 50% of my time doing that. In our registrars here, I'm always saying, do you like doing procedures? If you get a little bit of extra training in procedures and in dermoscopy and skin checks, it's a really good foil to the rest of general practice. It's nice to use your hands. It's really satisfying. You get the diagnosis and then you fix the problem. We also work part-time at the nursing home, and so we do some palliative care there, and really everything in between. General practice is like that show that was on TV, Thank God You're Here. You know, someone walks through the door, you've got no idea what it's going to be, which is kind of cool. My family, I visit them once a year in Oregon, and they're always like, why don't you move back? Why don't you move back? And there are lots of things I love about working here. If I need to, you know, shorten my day at short notice, I can do that. In the States, people take 2 weeks holiday a year, or if you're senior in your job, you take 4 weeks holiday a year. People can't conceive of doing anything other than that. We make less money here than they would in the States, but it would be a benefit to lifestyle. The great thing about Australia is the nationalised healthcare system. The nationalised healthcare system, I think, makes things way less complex for the average doctor working in a practice somewhere. You don't have to deal with insurance companies. Someone walks in your door in the States, you have no idea which pay structure you're going to end up going through for them, and it's a mess. I guess on a kind of a philosophical level, it's much, much, much better here. The more rural you go, the more interesting it is. For sure. So this is really good. Where we are, here's a nice mix of, you get a little bit of everything. You can actually be procedural, but then you do have the big hospital just down the road. So that's really a good setup for me. Creswick's great. It's a lovely little town, small town, really nice community of people. You go to the supermarket, you always know people. And we've got the services that you need here, and anything that we don't have here is really just 15-20 kilometers down the road. We're in shooting distance of the Great Ocean Road. We're in shooting distance of Melbourne. If you like being in the outdoors, there's lots of great things here. I'm a little bit partial to the mountain biking. We've got already 50 plus kilometers of informal single track mountain bike trail around Creswick. It's all hand built, no machines, and which makes it a little bit more technical, which is fun. You can go from Ballarat to Creswick to Bendigo to Daylesford, all in the bush on single track. And then we've just had all this funding, so we're going to get 60 kilometers of built mountain bike track here as well. Creswick will become a mountain biking hub, which has lots of benefits for the town.